What's your malfunction? And we're not even talking about maintenance. What's going on here? This keeps happening. American Airlines allegedly kicks Juvenile, back that ass up. I mean, that's what he's famous for, okay? From first class. I want you to take a look because he's back in the headlines again. American Airlines is rather, this time for their treatment of the rapper. Watch this.
Repercussions to this, because I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm not gonna let y'all disrespect me like that. I'm not gonna let y'all choose me out of all the people on the plane and disrespect me. So I'm gonna get off the plane. No. I'm gonna get off the plane. Come on. You ain't gonna disrespect me.
You make sure you get all your stuff, baby.
Kind of funny to me, I ain't gonna lie.
They took your seat, but didn't take my seat. I don't understand. Ma'am,
out of all the people on the plane, y'all pick a celebrity. Out of all the people on the plane, you pick me. Like you don't know who I am. Like, I don't want to hear that. Don't keep saying you sorry. Don't keep saying you sorry. Don't keep saying you sorry. I don't want to hear that. You sorry you wouldn't pick me out of all the people on the plane. Seriously.
I've never heard of nothing like this before because you downgraded you taking his seat. Told you I can't stand American Airlines.
This trash anyway. I fly Delta, man. I don't fly this anyway. All jets. Fly this trash ass anyway. Get some TVs on these.
There you have it. Rapper Juvenile at the end. Well, at least he giggled at the end there, but he was hot. Calling out the lack of amenities as well on his way out the door. He gave Delta a plug. I'm sure they're happy about it.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
All airlines have some issue, but American keeps landing on the same one. And by the way, celebrities like to be singled out, just not like this. Give you the details. According to Complex, rapper Juvenile has publicly called out American Airlines following a recent incident where the rapper and his wife, you heard her just in the background, ride or die. Okay, I back him up 100%. They were allegedly kicked out of first class on a flight headed to Dallas. The back that ass up. I wish I could say it like him. It's just, I could have been something in this rap game. The rapper took to Instagram Live while he and his wife were being told by flight attendants that he had to move from first class to coach. You get to the back. That's not what they said, but I imagine that's how he felt. They said it. When Juvie refuses to leave his seat, his wife can be heard telling them they were in their assigned seats. We bought these seats, baby. Okay, Juvenile eventually told them he preferred to just get off the plane as opposed to allowing them to, quote, disrespect me like that. I'm a celebrity, he said. I'm telling you, this is going to be, repercussions. It's going to be repercussions because I'm going to get off the plane. I'm going to get off the plane. I'm not going to let y'all disrespect me like this. I'm not going to let y'all choose me out of all the people on the plane and disrespect me. So I'm going to get off the plane. Now, Juvenile later posted another video showing his previously booked flights, many of which were American Airlines. I think I know a thing or two about first class, he said. F American Airlines. All the money I done spent with you. I'll say Mitch's, but you know what you call them. New Orleans native ended up taking a flight with another airline in order to make it in time for his show in Fort Worth. He's working, trying to get from point A to B. He's earned the right. He purchased, these seats are expensive. And I don't even care where he was sitting, but don't treat me this way, is what he's saying. We've previously covered, I'm not being unfair. We're about to list the history here. We've covered other bad experiences Black passengers have experienced while flying with American Airlines. Remember Judge Pamela Hill-Veal? If not, watch this.
The first thing that happened was the flight attendant attempted to get my husband to change his seat so that someone else could sit next to the person they wanted to sit next to. My husband refused. He refused to do it. And the flight attendant left. And then I think he came back a second time to make sure that my husband would not give up his seat. And that is something that my husband says he always felt as though that's what started this all. Since he couldn't do him, then he ended up doing me. And when I went to the restroom the first time, when I came out, he told me that I slammed the door and that there are people sleeping on the flight. I didn't say a word. I just walked onto my seat. The second time that I used the restroom, when I came out, he said, I told you not to slam the door. So from now on, you're to use the bathroom at the back of the plane. I looked at him and I told him there were other people that had used the restroom. There were 3 white guys that used the restroom and you didn't say anything to them about slamming the door. And I just went to my seat and sat there. The third time that I went, he followed me back to my seat. He touched me on my shoulder, told me that I was going to be arrested because he didn't like the way I spoke to him and that I hit him. I told him I did not hit you, and that was it. The plane, right before it landed, the pilot had said that everyone is to remain seated because we're going to have law enforcement come on board.
Yeah, they're always. I think it's still okay to say doing too much, right? Isn't that what they say? Doing too much. That's how I feel about American Airlines. This is a judge you slam the door. You know how there's that loud ambiance anyway on a plane. Okay, they've got these engines and things. I'm not saying it's like the Wright brothers days, but and most people's ears are clogged anyway. What are you talking about? So there's more. We also covered an incident involving 8 black men kicked off the plane over alleged body odor. For real.
As I got my things and walked to the front of the plane and made a left to the jet bridge, I noticed that there was 7 other black men. And that kind of was like, okay, what's happening here? So
for plaintiffs Emmanuel Jean Joseph, Alvin Jackson, and Xavier Veal, Flight 832 was a connection. They'd taken an earlier flight from Los Angeles without issue.
It was just black men. So I started freaking out. I pulled out my phone to record everything.
At any point, did somebody from American say to any of you that you had an offensive odor?
No.
The lawsuit claims over the course of about an hour, the men were kept in the jetway and then moved to the gate area where they were told they'd be rebooked on another flight to New York later that day, and alleges an American employee indicated the complaint about offensive body odor had come from a white male flight attendant. A gate agent seen in the video at one point seems to agree race was a factor in the men getting pulled off the flight.
just because of the color of my skin. Okay.
I disagree with you.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. But I didn't even need that to convince me, but that's just me. That was CBS News with that report. NAACP, NCAA, probably shouldn't use American either. But anyway, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People that issued a travel warning. That's how bad it is. They don't do that over one incident, one isolated thing. After they kicked those 8 men off the plane, said, well, you stink or something. Come on. American Airlines faced criticism in 2017 for its treatment of Black passengers, including removing people from flights, which prompted a travel advisory from the NAACP. The group lifted the warning the following year. Washington Post with the details. And look, they lift the warning usually after extensive talks with American. As I recall, we reported they were in talks. American was trying to do better. I don't know how you do better, though, Fran, when you have it feels like a systemic culture here. I said it again, okay? I'll say it again. All airlines, all businesses have, when you're large enough, you're going to have issues. But it seems to be concentrated in this one, we'll call it. What's a you?
I mean, what's so funny about, whenever you get into a discussion with anyone about airlines, everyone has their preference. I particularly hate United, right? I remember when they dragged that passenger out by his arms because they overbooked it, because they always overbook it, right? And that's what happens when you have these awful, unaccountable monopolies. Is it's just a race to the bottom, and everyone's like, no, this one's the worst, this one's the worst, this one's the worst, for all the different reasons that they gouge us for the amount of money that they charge. But let's be real here. American Airlines has a racism problem, okay? And I saw that apparently they said that the plane was switched, and so there were fewer seats in first class. That's totally a fine problem to have. But what you do then is very important. What a lot of airlines will do is they will offer things to different passengers. You can easily announce to first class, hey, we will give you not only a first class ticket on another flight, but also blank amount of miles or a third first class ticket. They're good for it, right? If one of you will switch to sit in coach, would anyone take that offer? And I'm sure that potentially one of them would, but randomly singling out the black man to go sit in economy is just not a good look. You have to actually have some sort of fairness, and also take accountability for the fact that you have a different plane or you overbooked the flight. There's a million different ways to handle this, but over and over again, and that 2017 incident is just disgusting. I don't know how you bounce back from that. I mean, that is just wild to me. And look, it's cultural, meaning it comes from these individual flight attendants, but it's a corporate culture clearly. And they have not been, sensitivity trained. They've not been told, hey, don't be racist. Treat all passengers equally.
I couldn't agree with you more. Because, I get so tired of having to justify, well, we don't know if it was racist. Look, man, if people just walk away thinking that they're being targeted, you have a problem.
Yes.
When you're in an open marketplace and you want, presumably, customers, they've got a problem. And you're absolutely right. I don't know if somebody in corporate said, treat the black people bad. But right. I do know that you don't behave a certain way, multiple people behaving a certain way, if you don't think you can get away with it.
Right.
And that's what I think you're saying when it comes to culture. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the implicit bias, right? Like implicitly, if you have airline flight attendants and you have people working the gate and you're like, we have a first class, we have an image to protect and blah, blah, and you institute that. I do think, especially with white people, there is an implicit racism. So if they're gonna single someone out, they might single out the black man. That's just reality, right? Doesn't mean that person is evil, but there is an implicit bias there. So you have to work against that. You need to train your staff better than that, right? And again, you need to pony up the money so that they don't have to choose which passenger. Just say, hey, we're gonna offer you 20,000 miles. Perfect. You're good for it. Just offer them 20,000 miles if you want to, sit in economy for this flight. It's not that hard.
Nice. Can't you just be nice about it? I don't understand. I'll say it again. Maybe I told the same story yesterday, but I'm getting older. What I would field these calls in the newsroom, the local newsroom, Sharon, and people would complain about our coverage. Maybe who knows what we did that day? We made a lot of mistakes. And sometimes they'd say, I hate that Sharon Reed girl. They didn't know it was me. I would just say Action News or whatever. And I would listen. What do I care? Okay. I'd listen. Sometimes they were right. And I'd say, well, she is annoying. And by the end of the call, we were friends. And I'd say, guess what? It's me. And they say, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I said, don't be sorry. Sometimes I annoy myself. And then they'd be viewers for life. Okay. A little nice goes a long way.